This video is an introduction to simple equations. So there's a trick that I teach my students. So I'm going to do a very simple one first. So if this says 3 plus some number equals 17. Now, I want to separate at the equal sign. Whatever I do on this side of the equation, I must do to this side of the equation. So I always want to get this letter by itself. So right now, this letter is saying my letter plus 3 gives me 17. The opposite of adding 3 to this number would be subtracting 3. So I'm going to subtract 3 from this side so that I can get this x all by itself. So this equals 0, I'm going to cross it off. Now if I subtracted 3 on this side, I must subtract 3 on this side. 17 take away 3 is 14. Now on this side of the line, the only thing that's left is the x. So I have x equals 14. Now if I come back to my original problem, I have 3 plus 14 equals 17. If that's correct, then I know that I did the problem correctly, and that is correct. So x equals 14. So let me show you a different operation. So we're going to keep using opposite operations. Adding and subtracting go with each other, and multiplication and division go with each other. So I could have written 3x equals 15. Now when there's no sign between these two numbers, this number and this letter, this means multiplication. This is saying 3 times some number equals 15. You may be able to figure that out on your own, but I'm going to use the trick that I separate these two things at the equal sign, and I do whatever I do to this side, I must also do to this side. So the opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. So I'm going to divide by 3 on this side so that my x stays by itself. So now I have x equals 15. If I divided by 3 on this side, I must divide by 3 on this side. 15 divided by 3 equals 5. X equals 5. Now if I come back to my original problem, I have 3 times a number equals 15. 3 times 5 equals 15. If that's correct, then I know that I did my problem correctly. The great thing about these algebraic equations is that if you take this number and you plug it in to what the original problem is, you should be able to figure out if you are correct. So the two things that you need to remember are whatever you do to this side, you must do to this side. And you need to remember that if you multiply, you must divide. If you divide, you must multiply. And on the other side, we used adding and subtracting. So adding and subtracting go together also. So if you remember opposite operations and balancing the equation, you should do great.